This is being brought to you by Midnight Triple Feature. This podcast will contain adult language and spoilers. Enjoy.
Midnight Triple Feature.
.blogspot.com.
Welcome to this episode of Midnight Triple Feature. We are actually going to do 1966 Big Gundown that was just released by Grindhouse Releasing. I'm Mike. Adam's here.
Yep.
Connor's here.
What's up?
All right, so take it away.
So this is the, as Mike mentioned, third Blu-ray release from Grindhouse Releasing. Mike and I reviewed Corruption. The three of us did American Hippie in Israel. So we're kind of, at this point, I think, reviewing every Grindhouse Releasing release. This is their biggest release yet. It's a 4-disc set. Contains the 95-minute uncut American version on DVD and Blu-ray, the 110-minute Italian director's cut on Blu-ray, and the full soundtrack on CD. So, The Big Gundown is a spaghetti western directed by Sergio Solima, starring Lee Van Cleef and Thomas Milian. I'm assuming that people know what a spaghetti western is, but if you don't, it is it's an American western filmed in Italy. So it's an imitation of an American western done in their own style.
That's amazing how much Italy looks like the West.
That's Spain. So, right.
That's Spain?
Yeah, so from what I got from the special features, they shot in Spain, and that was the thing, is they went there and they're like, holy crap, this looks like the American West. It's crazy how much they can do that. So there's a ton of features, like interviews and stuff. So I watched the 2 interviews with the director, and one thing I found interesting is he's offended by the term spaghetti western. He doesn't like that term.
Yeah.
Really?
He says they are Italian westerns. He says that if you call it a spaghetti western, that's why I want to mention this, because you said it looks like the American West.
Yeah.
He said a spaghetti western sort of indicates that it's obviously Italian.
Right.
Whereas he doesn't feel that his movie is obviously Italian.
Which it definitely is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he says, it was great. He had a nice little way of describing. He's like, A spaghetti western would be if John Wayne walked into a bar and ordered spaghetti, because that would be obviously Italian. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That doesn't happen. So he believes spaghetti westerns exist, but that they're an imitation of an imitation. Like,
Yeah.
like The Thing or something.
I get that, but
Right.
that's something that
Right.
a spaghetti western director would say.
Right. Because he sees this film as, something above what
Right.
that genre is. Because he says that destroys the genre because they keep imitating themselves over and over and over again until everybody gets tired of it.
I had to rewind a few times when I was watching the feature. I never even finished.
I didn't get through all the features. There's
It was
so many.
and it's so hard to keep up on the subtitles because he's talking so fast.
Yeah.
He does.
So I'd rewind it and so I never even finished it.
I got through like his stuff and Million's interview, and I watched one or two of the others. But it's funny because he says he blames Italy for its own masochism of sort of destroying their own genres, and he says this is like a thing that's purely Italian. But this is like, isn't this what Hollywood does too?
Yeah.
Like, don't they
Yeah.
just do the same shit over and over again?
It's
till
just a
they
thing
kill
that
it?
a business does, I guess.
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's profitable,
It's
so
funny
they do it
that
again
he
and
like
again and again. and
blames it as like uniquely Italian when like look at like found footage movies.
again. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Hollywood just spins him out again and again
Yeah,
and again
exactly.
until nobody wants to see him anymore. So, but he wanted to make something that was not a spaghetti western. He wanted to do something that was sort of against that, something that had a message, I guess, was a little bit political and whatnot.
I want to make a deep movie.
Right. A little bit more background. There was a sequel to this. It's called Run Man Run, and it's completely focused on Cuccio.
Oh, really?
Because this movie his character was so popular, at least in Italy,
Yeah.
that he actually got his own movie because of it. Because people loved this character so much.
Wow. I when they were riding away at the end, spoiler. But
Well,
yeah.
We're gonna spoil.
I
it
thought
real
like,
soon.
oh, sequel. Like
Yeah.
these guys are gonna team up. Like this is awesome. I want to see. I gotta look
no
up.
Lee
see if
Van
there's a
Cleef in the
sequel.
sequel. But.
Oh, that sucks.
All right, so let's just get right into it. It opens with our main character, which is Jonathan Corbett. He's a bounty hunter, and he's after 3 bandits. And so we immediately see Lee Van Cleef and there's these 3 guys, and then it kind of sets him up immediately as this, I don't know, gunslinger? Is that the right word?
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do you? So I don't know. For whatever reason, I've never like really. I always think Eastwood when I think of this. So
Yeah.
what do you think of Lee Van Cleef as sort of
Well, he's a bounty hunter,
right?
right? So I actually like him.
Right.
I actually have several of his movies, and
Oh,
they're
really?
all westerns. Yeah.
Well, he's done a ton of westerns.
Yeah. I got that 12 movie pack, and
Right.
on there is 4 Lee Van Cleef movies.
Right.
So, and then I have another one that's got like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
So,
He looks like a villain for some reason.
Right, and they say
to
that
me.
like he doesn't like he acts with his face.
Yeah.
You know, like he just has a look. He doesn't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
have to act. He just has
Yeah.
a look.
Yeah, a lot of times in the movie he'll just stare at people,
He does look like a villain. Yeah.
and it's like I'd be creeped out if I was near
Yeah.
this guy. He's
I think he's just
fucking
supposed to
weirdo.
like be
He was good though.
he's supposed to be
I-
intimidating. You know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. He definitely is.
He's very serious. So Corbett takes out the 3 guys, so we immediately see that he's, like this expert gunslinger. I do find it interesting because he's very, like when you watch like the Eastwood stuff, like the Man with No Name stuff.
Yeah.
He's really like dirty and like, he just kind of like wanders into town, but Corbett's so put together.
A lot of the characters in this movie are
Right.
like when they get to the farm too. Like all the ranch hand's hair is like all nice and
yeah, it's
manicured
funny
and
because
shit.
he's so like
And they're
put
supposed to
together.
be out in the mountains.
I know. He's
Yeah.
so clean and like he wears the same clothes. He never changes his clothes. But next we go to a wedding and we learn that there's been a 12-year-old girl who's been raped and murdered,
Right.
and that Cuccio is wanted. He's a poor Mexican man. So of course Corbett is sort of automatically takes on this job. And then we get a series of. It's interesting the way it plays out because I was really expecting this to be a very typical, straightforward story of a bounty hunter hunting down a bandit.
Right.
But it's not really how it plays out.
no.
It's like that in the beginning, but yeah.
Yeah, but even it starts like slowly kind of unravels a little bit.
And I love how the characters just keep turning the tables on each other.
right, that's
Yeah.
Like they use their wit more than like their strength.
yeah, like I was gonna say,
Like he
there's-
stabs him in the ass with the spike. and,
yeah, like
it's a
outside of that
snake.
opening scene, Corbett doesn't use his gun again until he gets to the ranch.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
30 minutes into the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
And except for this, there's that awesome scene where Cucillo's with the young girl, the Mormon,
Yeah.
And
that
he
was
throws,
so funny.
Remember when he throws the knife though, and then he shoots the gun, and he fucking that was awesome.
sweet.
Yeah.
It was funny later when he
I
was
know,
like,
it's-
yeah.
He was
Yeah.
gonna,
He's
he was
like,
gonna
"That's my
like,
wife,"
I
yeah.
saved your daughter, like 13-year-old. She's like, she's my wife.
He's
Yeah,
my fourth
it's
wife, I
weird.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I got here before you hurt your daughter. My daughter? Sarah? Sarah's my fourth wife.
So it is a series of like Cuchillo really outwitting Corbett over and over and over again.
Right.
Yep.
And
3 different times.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
the ranch one is next, and the ranch one is like really fucking weird. So like, what's what's going on in the ranch? Like, do these ranchers just like wander into the ranch and like have sex with this woman, and then she just keeps them?
Dude, it's just like
I don't-
a big ranch of Italian bodybuilders, like
What
with
do they
nice
do?
hair.
Yeah.
And
What do they
just,
do?
They're just constantly standing around, like looking up at the window
Yeah,
while they're
fight
in there.
bulls.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't think they got to have sex with her. Because
really?
because at one point when he's inside, the other guy said, I don't remember the exact conversation, but it was almost like they never had the chance to go in there, so why does he get to go in there? Almost.
Oh, see, I thought
There's
that,
no way though, because this chick is banging everybody.
I know. I thought she had slept with all. My thought was like she slept with
Maybe.
everybody one time, and then
like some dirty Mexican guy walks in,
I
and she's like,
know.
"Oh, bring him on in."
Like,
and
I
then
always
another guy
thought,
walks in,
like-
she's like, "Oh, bring him on in."
Yeah, I know. Like every single guy that walks in, she's like, "Bring him in, give him some alcohol. I'm gonna sleep with him." So I'm thinking like she sleeps with him once, and then they
Maybe,
just
yeah.
stick around waiting, and then like they never get to sleep with her
He's
again.
camping out in front of the
Yeah,
house.
and
like
he was going to
waiting.
steal from her, too.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was gonna take what is like the necklace or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of interesting thing about Cuchillo is he's not like a good guy because he does throw the knife at what's his name. He cut up that dude's face early on. You see
Yeah.
his face,
He's not evil.
but he's not evil,
Yeah.
right? He like make him like likable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he didn't
yeah.
shoot the sheriff when he could, or he's not a sheriff, but the bounty hunter when he could.
Right, and he could have done it plenty of
Yeah.
times. It's weird because he does shit that's like bad, but they somehow make this guy really, really likable.
Yeah.
Like more likable than Corbett. Like I thought it
Yeah.
was more fun.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
an asshole sometimes.
Yeah,
Like he just
yeah.
left that chick. And,
Right, well, here's
he
the other
punched
thing,
out
though.
that dude.
And this is interesting you say that because in the 110-minute cut, a bunch of the stuff that was cut was Corbett being less of an asshole.
Oh, really?
And I guess when they cut out, like when they brought it over to the United States, they said, well, we need this guy to be your typical American gunslinger, which means,
So make him an asshole.
right, all he wants, yeah, he
Nice.
just wants to kill this guy.
Yeah.
So like the scene where where Cuchillo like fakes the rattlesnake thing and takes the horse.
Yeah.
When he comes up to that dude in the wagon, there's like more footage in there of him like trying to convince the guy to give him his horse. But in the 95-minute cut, it's not like he basically is just like fucking.
Yeah, because in the movie he just like asks him, and then he disagrees, and then he just punches him out.
Yeah, and he just
Yeah.
takes the
Yeah,
horse.
yeah.
It's different. There's like there's a ton of stuff like that. It's interesting. There's more scenes with the monks too, because he goes to the monk place and
That was pretty cool, actually.
yeah, and like the movie, it changes completely because all of a sudden like it's almost like two different halves because the first half is a typical like chase bounty hunter chase movie.
And that's really what. Yeah, and then they get to Mexico, and
and
it's more like
it's completely different
Yeah.
at this point because Corbett's like taken out of the game.
right.
Of course, and we're gonna spoil here. So if you haven't seen it and you plan on seeing it, I think it's kind of obvious that this is gonna happen. But
Yeah.
Cuchillo is not guilty of raping the 12-year-old girl. It's the little rich guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I started sensing that like halfway through the movie.
yeah. Well, Cuchillo,
Yeah.
he says like at one point like you don't even know that I did it or something. You just
Yeah.
assume I did it.
And especially when they start trying to make him like a good character, like when he puts
Yeah.
down the watch and doesn't steal it.
That's
I was like,
what I'm
okay,
saying. They
he's
start
gonna,
making
they're
him
gonna like
likable.
team up or something.
But I do think it's interesting because like it goes back to what Salima said is that he was trying to make a movie that was trying to say something a little bit more. So
Yeah.
he was actually dealing with themes of like class and race relations. And all I could think about
Yeah.
was I'm watching the movie and I'm like, you see like those mothers on TV and like their kids get kidnapped and like their kids disappear, and they're like, a 6-foot-tall black man came into my house and stole my children. And she always threw them in the car and drowned them in the river, and it was always her, but she always blames the black dude or the Hispanic.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
the poor Mexican guy did it, and everybody
that's true.
believed. But I'm like, holy shit, this is like 1966.
Yeah.
This shit still happens today.
Yeah.
So, and then the idea of, like, the rich, this guy who's, he's a millionaire, he wants to build a railroad, he can sort of control.
Just concerned with profits.
Right.
And whatever.
But he can control, the rich are in control, and he can basically put down whoever he wants.
And he even mentions at one time, like, you're too smart to be a senator or something like that.
Right.
So you can pay off the senator.
Right.
easily. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is where we meet one of my favorite. Well, we met him a little earlier, but we really meet one of my favorite characters, which is the Baron.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that's a gnarly monocle,
Oh, my
dude.
God.
That's a really cool
And that
monocle.
haircut.
Could you
Yeah.
imagine back in the day walking around with that thing, a monocle?
Like this.
Like, did they wear them all the time, or was that just so that, like, I didn't get why he had it in
Dude,
all
I
the
don't know.
time. That's gotta hurt your eye.
Well, he took it out because, like.
Yeah, when he goes to shoot, he takes it out.
Yeah,
It's
like
do
he
you really
puts it
need
up, and then he opens his eye really wide, and it like falls out, and it's.
Just get some glasses, dude.
It's such
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's
That
such a
makes things so
bizarre character
complicated.
for a movie like this. It's like.
Yeah, it was an Austrian baron or something.
Yeah, but I loved it. Like,
yeah,
and all he wants to do is have a shootout with Corbett, like the
Yeah.
whole movie. So you know that's gonna happen.
Yeah, but the way this went down was pretty surprising. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, you mean at the end there, the way it.
Yeah.
We do get to see actually like the stuff that I really like is even more so than the gunfights is like anytime Cuchillo uses the knife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that final scene.
Yeah. Well, two of them. One in the brothel where he gets the guy in the neck with the knife.
Yeah.
And then the final scene where he doesn't want the gun, but he takes the knife and it goes literally like gets him right in the head with it.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite stuff.
Well, that pretty much goes back to his roots. He didn't have a whole ton of money,
Exactly.
so he wasn't going to buy a gun and bullets.
Exactly.
So he trained with the knife.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Sulima said. Is he's like, I had to think of this guy as if he were a poor peasant, he wouldn't have a gun. He wouldn't know how to use a gun.
Oh yeah, that scene where he gave him the knife
Right.
to cauterize him, that was so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Why would he give him the
I
knife?
know.
Come on, even if
But
you're
he
bit
took
by
his
a
gun.
snake.
Oh yeah, right. Where you're saying Corbett gave him the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It was
Come
dumb.
on, obviously. Yeah.
It was pretty stupid. Well, that's the thing is like Cuchillo's almost smarter than him every single time.
Yeah.
But I think it plays into the whole thing of like Corbett. He says later, like I think doesn't he say something like I always knew something was off, something wasn't right.
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to play into him like always suspecting that maybe this guy wasn't guilty.
Yeah.
And
it makes sense that he would outwit him every time because he has, you
Right.
know, he's so dirt poor and
yeah, he's used
probably
to
had
having
to deal
do
with the
that.
situation
Right.
a lot. And, like even when they get in the jail, he already has the knife. With
I know. I love that scene
yeah.
too. Where, like,
That was really cool.
Again, it's like, but again, he could have like, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't try to do anything to Corbett. He just like, I just want to leave. Like I've been here before.
Yeah,
I know how to get out. You know.
Yeah, he never actually tries to hurt him. Ever.
The only time, like I said, is when he throws the knife at when he walks up to him and he's with the girl and he throws a knife at Corbett in the beginning.
Well, when he
Yeah,
shoots it out of the air, he's probably like, okay.
That's
That's
it.
it.
I guess I'm not gonna. But he
Yeah.
had plenty of opportunities. He easily
That's
could have
true.
killed him multiple times and he didn't.
He just wanted to get away and go home. That's it.
That's all he wanted to do is go home.
Yeah.
Go to the sea.
Yeah.
So yeah, the final scenes, the shootout between the Baron and Corbett is awesome, and this is where I want to talk about the soundtrack
Yeah.
because the soundtrack in this thing, like,
It was good.
it's
Really
good.
good.
Yeah.
It's
Really is.
Ennio Morricone. Who also scored the Leon stuff and like tons. Tarantino uses this guy all the time. He samples his shit all the time. It's good, and like this is really good because he takes it's Beethoven's Fur Elise for like when the Baron comes out, it's like that piano
Yeah.
with like the guitar and
Yeah.
it's so fucking
Yeah, it
good.
really is.
Now, I mean, I love westerns.
Yeah,
And I've seen there's not a whole lot of bad ones, but the
Yeah.
ones that are bad are bad.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it throws you off if the music sucks.
Right.
And I've seen some westerns where the movies are really good and the soundtrack was just
Right,
crap,
right.
It was like the same song recycled over and over.
Right.
And this movie didn't do that.
Right.
It
And
changed
No.
through the whole film.
It's so, like,
The whole
it's
film.
so good. And It was like one of my favorite things about the movie was hearing that soundtrack. It's so good.
Yeah.
And like it's like that, and then like he even did like the wedding theme near the beginning. It's just like a variation of the overall theme, and it's Morricone. I mean, the guy's ridiculous. He's scored over 400 films.
Wow.
He scored The Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's done like
Oh, did he?
yeah. I mean he's
Okay.
done a ton of stuff.
'Cause that's good too. You can get that on vinyl,
Right. He
So,
he did that one.
yeah. and that was popular.
It's interesting because he, like I said, he's worked with Tarantino recently, and he came out and he said that he doesn't ever want Tarantino to use his music again
Really?
because he felt like Tarantino didn't know how to properly use his music, and that he would only use it when it didn't make sense.
What? Really?
And that's because, and if you think about it, it's because the way Tarantino makes films is he takes the parts and pieces that he likes,
Yeah.
and he compiles them into one thing. So he was taking little bits and pieces of Morricone's music and putting it in. And he, even though he collaborated with him, he was not happy with the final results. 'Cause
Which movie was it recently?
Inglourious Bastards has his music in, and he doesn't. And the other thing too is it bothers him. I think is that Tarantino doesn't write new scores, so he takes music that already exists. From he used a lot of Morricone in Inglourious Bastards and in Django.
All his movies, really. Yeah.
Right, because he's got that spaghetti western influence. I don't really know what else to say. Like I said, there's the end scene. That's the shootout between the Baron. I love that scene too because you're sort of building up to it for so long.
It didn't really go the way I thought it was gonna go, but
What do you think was going to happen?
like I thought it was gonna go. It was gonna be one of those really long shootouts because we didn't have a really big shootout in this movie.
The ranch was the closest thing we got to that.
To the-
That's
Yeah.
what I thought was coming
Yeah.
too, because they had all the other guys with them.
Yeah,
and it's
true.
called
Yeah.
the Big Gundown.
Yeah,
So I was like,
yeah.
okay,
And
this
the
is the
Baron,
Big
the
Gundown.
way-
Didn't really turn out that
And the
way.
type
but
of
it was
character
awesome.
the Baron is, he was gonna come in real slow. He's gonna be cocky about it because he's a better shooter,
Right.
and it didn't really happen that way.
No, you're right. Well, it's almost like too.
And he's faster than him too. He gets him
Yeah.
first, and
He gets him first.
he just
Yeah.
wins because he rolls on the ground, and the Baron's just standing there.
Right.
like a
I mean, the
fucking
thing is that
doofus.
Corbett, I think, is supposed to be more like Baron is so sophisticated.
He's proper.
Right,
yeah.
that he would never do anything like he
Not
would
gonna
never
roll around
down
on the ground.
Right,
Yeah,
he would
yeah.
never roll away. Whereas Corbett
Yeah.
is going to do
What he needs to do to survive.
right. He works. He's in the West. He's
Yeah.
he's a bounty hunter. He's not a bodyguard.
Yeah.
I did like it though. You're right. I it's funny. Never really occurred to me, but yeah, there wasn't like a huge. There was three confrontations between your three villains, really, and that was it. That was the end of the movie.
And then the shootout with the
railroad guy.
the railroad guy.
And
Yeah.
that's funny. There's another, which was pretty cool too, because when, because he's got Corbett, and then Cuchillo kicks the rifle up or the shotgun or whatever.
Yeah, he
flips it up.
Flips it up to him.
It's pretty awesome too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
And there's a cut scene here too on the longer cut where the dude, remember the guy I think it was his house they were at, who was giving him money to help him build a railroad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's like a whole scene in the full version where he's like, after he shoots the guy, he's like, I just lost $1 million because of you. He says this to Corbett, and he's like, but I don't really care. And he just jumps on his horse and leaves. That's completely cut out of the 95-minute
That
cut.
sounds kind of awesome.
It was. It was really. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, that's missing. I was like, that. I laughed. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And I like the way, everybody's heard the saying, I shoot from the hip. And that comes from these movies.
Right, yeah.
And I like the way they do it in this one because it's quick. He pulls it out and then he just shoots immediately after it comes out of the holster.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
And that's where it comes from. It comes from shooting from the hip. And he's good at it.
Yeah.
So, it's a great, for me anyway, it's like, I loved it. Like I said, I watched it twice. I'm going to watch it again. It's my favorite release from them, so from Grindhouse
Yeah,
Releasing
it's
so
good.
far.
Yeah, it was
I
awesome.
couldn't believe how much I enjoy. I like Westerns, like,
Yeah.
and I specifically like spaghetti Westerns because they're just dirtier and more violent, and this was like, I guess when it came out, was kind of relegated to like a double bill and just kind of forgotten in the States. It was a
really?
big hit overseas, but in the States it was just like, I don't know why, but
It seems to happen quite a bit, though.
it does, yeah. But
It's really good. It's really creative. It doesn't take the easy way out on anything.
it doesn't at all. And there's an actual message and tone to the whole thing. It's not just a straightforward story. There's a lot going on. So my only other thing I would say is if you're listening to this and you want to go back and watch the old spaghetti westerns. Don't look at what comes out today as that's an homage and be like, that's a spaghetti western because it's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a spaghetti western.
Mhm.
I only say Tarantino because
You're talking about Django.
Right.
yeah.
Because I liked Django for what it
Yeah.
was, but that is not this.
It's a spaghetti southern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Django.
yeah. That's not this. And if he
Yeah.
was trying to make this, he didn't make this. It's
No,
not
no.
the same. You know, like,
no.
this movie is, there's nothing, I don't know.
It's like a modern interpretation.
Yeah, but it's not. There's no tongue in cheek to it. There's,
No.
you know what I mean? Like, this is a real movie. They're trying to tell a real story. He's not. It's an original concept that they didn't just.
There's not a 10-minute scene with clan members arguing about how they...
exactly right.
This
There's-
isn't just a bunch of shootouts and people riding horses.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a whole lot more to this.
There's
than
no
a
dramatic
normal-
fucking zoom ins onto faces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what you're gonna get with a Tarantino.
But that's what I
film.
mean.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like when I watch this, I wonder like where if he's because he pulled music from this movie for like this clearly wasn't really an influence on that. So I'm like I don't know.
Have you seen the original Django films?
No, I
Yeah,
I
there's
haven't
like
either.
3 of them.
There's a ton of
Have you
them.
seen
yeah.
Yeah.
I got 3 of them. Yeah.
So are they similar at all to like what he was going for?
Who?
The Django films, the earlier ones.
Have you
for what
seen-
Tarantino
I
did.
know. I haven't watched the.
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah, no.
So I would say go back to the '60s and at least watch the Leone stuff. Watch this, and then like get a real feel for what a spaghetti western really is. And I think you'll be like you said, Connor. Like you almost sort of wrote these off. You know, it's like it's.
Well,
easy to do.
I've seen a few bad ones,
And
too.
they're out
They
there.
were just
Yeah, and you need to really go to like the good ones,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna see there's some really good ones. So, and I think
Actually, I sort of have seen like a tongue-in-cheek one. Have you ever seen Roy Colt and Winchester Jack? Have you ever seen that?
no,
movie?
was that an older one?
Yeah, that's by Bava. It's definitely more of
Oh,
a
that's a Bob.
tongue-in-cheek.
Okay.
Just
No.
guys constantly
Was
like
that a
getting in
comedy, though?
fights. Sort of, yeah.
Mill Creek has a
Yes.
100 set spaghetti. There's some good titles on there, but you got to weed through the really bad ones that are on there because they tend to always have bad ones. But you weed through them, there are some really good oones on there, and there's a lot of Lee Van Cleef's ones on there.
Yeah, and you can get Blue Underground it's like a triple feature of the sequel to this, Run Man Run, with what is it, like Shoot Django, whatever it is, and then like another one.
Yeah.
So you can actually sort of see some of those.
Is
But
the sequel supposed to be good? I definitely check that out.
yeah, I mean it's basically Cuchillo, and he's trying to find like some hidden gold, and he's being chased, and he's racing against like another group. It's something I don't know. It was successful, I guess. I haven't seen it, but I think that's it. Grindhouse Releasing. I think their next release might be Scum of the Earth. So I have never seen that either.
Yeah.
It's either that or The Swimmer. So if it's Scum of the Earth, I'll definitely get that one because I've wanted to see that for a long time. It's like a backwoods hillbilly type movie.
Cool.
So, but this one, I highly recommend this one.
Oh yeah.
Highly recommend the Big Gundown.
Definitely.
Yeah.
One of the
That's
best spaghetti westerns I've
Oh, it's
ever
it,
seen.
yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, check it out.
Yep, check it out.
It's available now. So, all right. Anything else?
That's it.
Riding like a hare, like a deer, like a rabbit. Danger in the air, coming near. You can smell it and you're painted like a hare, like a deer, like a rabbit. Running from a snare until fear is a habit. Hurry on and on and on and on. Hurry on and on, hurry on and on. Run and run and run and run and run until you know you're free. Run to the end of the world till you find the place where they never, never, never